There are a few rules you learn when you grow up in the spacer docks of Mars Ringport. Rule 1. Never trust a client who won't show their face. Rule 2. Never work for free. Rule 3. Never, ever check your inbox after midnight. I broke all 3 in one night. I was 23, a grease-stained human mechanic scraping by on half-dead star freighters and forgotten drones. My shop wasn't even a shop, just a hangar corner rented by the hour, patched with top and held together with duct tape and optimism. The sign outside still flickered from when I found it in a scrapyard. Liam Carter, Interstellar Repairs, mostly legal. It was nearing 2 a.m. Mars local time when my ComSlate pinged. At first, I ignored it. No sane person messages at that hour unless something's on fire, sometimes literally. But curiosity got me. It always does. The message had no sender ID, no return channel, just a block of text, glowing a soft blue. I require urgent mechanical assistance. Payment, 10,000 credits. Coordinates attached. Discretion advised. I stared at it, blinking. 10,000 credits was 2 months of rent. Enough to replace my burnt-out grave welder. Enough to eat real food instead of rehydrated mush. But the coordinates. They pointed to the asteroid belt, an empty region near Sector 9 Gamma, where smugglers and shipwrecks went to die. No stations. No boys. No reason to go there, unless you were hiding. I should have deleted it. I didn't. I told myself it was a 1 in a million chance some rich eccentric stranded in deep space. I packed my portable toolcase, fueled my shuttle Little Gear, and launched before dawn. The trip took 6 hours. The asteroid belt stretched like a sea of shadows, massive rocks tumbling in slow, silent dance. My sensors flickered as I neared the coordinates, the signal grew stronger, then static overwhelmed everything. Then I saw it. A shape emerged from the dark, massive, sleek, and impossibly alien. The hull shimmered with scales, each one catching starlight and reflecting it in spectral colors. It looked less like a ship and more like a living creature, a dragon made of metal, wings half-folded, eyes glowing faintly red. "What the hell?" I whispered. The name on its side pulsed in a script I didn't recognize, sharp, flowing glyphs that almost looked alive. My shuttle's translator couldn't process it. Before I could hail, my comm crackled alive. "Human vessel, you have arrived." The voice was deep, melodic, and edged with something primal, like a growl smoothed into words. Yeah, I managed. "You're the client?" "Affirmative. I am Captain Sareth Ka of the Dominion warship Vrathuan. Your assistance was requested. Do not disappoint me." My heart skipped. Dominion? That wasn't just any name, it was a species humans called the Rylath, draconic aliens from deep galactic space. Most humans had only seen them on distant holos or in military reports. They were warriors, empire builders, and widely considered terrifying. And one of them just hired me. "Yeah, sure," I said weakly. "Just, let me dock without dying, okay?" The massive ship's hull shifted, plates folding open like wings. An airlock extended from the belly of the beast, forming a docking tunnel that shimmered faintly with energy. My ship latched on, and the lock sealed with a hiss. When I stepped through, I felt the temperature rise immediately. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sharp, like heated metal mixed with ash. The corridor was organic in shape, walls curved, glowing veins of blue energy pulsing beneath the surface. I could hear faint, rhythmic vibrations, like a heartbeat. And then she appeared. Captain Sareth Ka. She was 7 feet tall, her body covered in emerald scales that caught the light like armor. Horns swept back from her head in elegant arcs, her wings folded tight against her back. Her eyes burned molten gold, narrow and focused. Every movement carried the weight of someone who had never needed to ask for anything, only command it. And I, a skinny human with oil on my sleeves, was standing in front of her holding a toolbox. "So, Captain," I said, trying not to sound terrified. "What seems to be the problem?" She tilted her head, her tail swaying lazily behind her. "You are smaller than expected." "Yeah, I get that a lot." Her nostrils flared, releasing a puff of smoke. "The Vrathuan's heart core is failing to synchronize. My engineers are unavailable." Her eyes flicked briefly to a wall where scorched marks hinted at an explosion. You were recommended by the network. I expect results. Recommended? By who? I didn't even have an account on alien repair networks. But I wasn't about to question a 7-foot dragon lady who could probably snap me in half. Okay, I said, forcing a grin. Show me the heart core. She turned sharply, her claws clicking against the floor. I followed, trying not to trip over the living cables that pulsed beneath the deck. We reached a massive chamber, circular, pulsing with light. In the center floated a crystalline sphere surrounded by rotating metallic rings, each engraved with alien runes. The light flickered erratically, unstable, dying. That's your core? I breathed. It's beautiful. It is dying, SCi-Fi said flatly. And with it, so will I. That made me pause. You're linked to it. She glanced at me. The Vrathuan is bound to my neural lattice. My ship's life is mine. If one fails, the other follows. No pressure, right? I knelt by a console, unpacking my tools. The interface was unlike anything I'd seen, fluid, alive. When I touched it, it reacted, a pulse of light rippling under my fingers. Okay, weird, but manageable, I muttered. You talk to yourself, SCi-Fi observed. Yeah. Helps me think. You sound insane. That's part of the charm. She didn't respond, but I caught the faintest twitch of amusement at the corner of her mouth. As I began scanning the conduits, I realized the system wasn't just malfunctioning, it was rejecting her. The ship was fighting against its own captain. That shouldn't even be possible. Something's corrupting the feedback loop, I said, frowning. Maybe emotional interference. Neural desync. You speak as though you understand Rylath bioarchitecture. I don't. I'm just good at guessing. That made her snort, a sound like grinding stone. Human arrogance knows no limit. Hey, arrogance built your comm relay, I shot back. Without it, you couldn't have called me. Her eyes narrowed, then softened, just slightly. Perhaps. I spent hours beneath the pulsating core, crawling through access tunnels, rerouting energy pathways, and dodging sparks. Every hum and flicker of the ship felt like it was breathing around me, watching, judging. At one point, SCi-Fi crouched beside me, curious. Her scaled fingers brushed the conduit I was rewiring. You use primitive tools, yet, your technique is efficient. We humans like to make things work, even when they shouldn't. A dangerous philosophy. The best kind. When I finally managed to bypass the first layer of corruption, the ship gave a low, resonant hum like a sigh of relief. Lights brightened. The temperature stabilized slightly. That's a start, I said, wiping sweat from my brow. But it's gonna take a while. You have until dawn, she said. Not much of a deadline. Be grateful I granted you one. I couldn't tell if that was humor or a threat. Probably both. As she turned to leave, her voice echoed through the chamber. Do not fail me, human. The Vrathuan is more than a vessel. It is my soul. And with that, she disappeared into the glowing corridors. I looked back at the pulsing core, feeling the faint rhythm beneath my palm, steady but fading. Hang in there, girl, I whispered. Let's see if a little human stubbornness can keep you alive. The Vrathuan's heart core was like nothing I'd ever worked on before. It pulsed like a living organ, surrounded by veins of silver conduits that shimmered when I touched them, and exhaled a faint hiss every few seconds like it was breathing. The air in the chamber had weight to it, warm, charged, heavy with static. It made the hair on my arms stand. I had seen alien tech before, but this was alive. A fusion of machine and creature, mind and matter. The Rylath didn't build their ships, they grew them. Every circuit was organic, every alloy a living tissue of energy and instinct. And somehow, I had to fix it with a wrench and human stubbornness. I hooked up my universal analyzer, something cobbled from old Earth junk, a Martian interface cable, and a few stolen Dominion parts I'd found in a scrapyard. The scanner lit up for half a second before it spat static and fried one of my gloves. Oh, damn it. Sparks flew. The air around the conduit shimmered like heat waves. Human, came that deep, rolling voice behind me. You appear to be injuring yourself. I turned to see Captain Sarith Ka watching me from the upper platform, her arms crossed, wings half open like a judgmental shadow. Nah, this is standard operating procedure, I said, shaking my burned hand. Step 1, electrocute yourself. Step 2, swear a lot. Step 3, fix the problem. Her eyes narrowed. You jest even while under duress? It's part of our process. Helps us not die of stress. That made her snort, a puff of blue smoke rising from her nostrils. Your kind is peculiar. You have no idea. I crouched again, tracing the energy conduits with my scanner. Every pulse of the system correlated to her heartbeat, her breathing rhythm. Then I noticed something odd every time she exhaled sharply or growled, the pulse stabilized. When she was calm, it flickered. When she was angry, it aligned. Interesting. Captain, I called, you said this ship is bonded to you, right? Like, mentally linked. Correct. And your mood affects it. She tilted her head. It is symbiotic. My focus, strength, and intent guide her systems. So if you're calm and serene, the ship powers down. If you're pissed off, she burns like a star, Sarith Ka finished, her voice low and proud. I grinned. Then we've got a problem. You're too calm. That got a deep rumble from her chest. You insult my composure. I'm saying, Captain, you need to stay angry. The system syncs better when your adrenaline's high. You would have me rage for your convenience. For your ship's survival, I countered. Unless you want her dead. There was a long silence. I could feel her gaze burning into my back. Then, she let out a long, low growl like thunder rolling across metal. Very well, human. But if this fails, I will mount your skull as a trophy. Deal, I said. Just make sure it's polished. Her tail lashed once annoyance, or amusement, I couldn't tell. Either way, we had an understanding. As I worked, Sarith Ka began pacing the chamber like a caged predator. Every movement of hers sent a ripple through the core's glow. I rewired conduits, swapped energy regulators, and rerouted feedback loops, while she growled low in her throat enough to make the deck hum underfoot. When one of my converters overloaded, she roared an echoing, primal sound that shook dust from the ceiling. The ship's lights flared bright and steady. I froze. The core stabilized. Okay, I whispered. I think I figured it out. Explain, she demanded, smoke curling from her jaws. The ship doesn't run on logic or programming, it runs on emotion resonance. It mirrors your mental state through the neural lattice. When you're confident, angry, dominant, it surges with power. But when you doubt, it falters. Her pupils narrowed to slits. So my weakness endangers her. Not weakness, I said gently. You're fighting your own instincts. You're a warrior who lost your crew. You're trying to stay calm and rational when your ship's designed to thrive on your fury. That's not a bug, it's biology. Her silence was heavy. For a moment, I wondered if I'd overstepped. Then she said quietly, humans see what others ignore. We're good at that. Comes from living in chaos. Hours passed. We worked together, her providing raw power, me guiding the energy flow. Every time she roared, I'd reroute the charge through the heart core, channeling the resonance until it began to glow pure white. The hum deepened into something melodic, like a heartbeat syncing with hers. Sweat stung my eyes. My arms trembled. The air crackled with electricity. Captain, we're close, I shouted over the roar. Then finish it, human. I linked my power coupler into the main circuit and flipped the breaker. A blinding surge of light erupted, filling the chamber. My instruments screamed warnings. The entire ship trembled. And then, silence. The light faded to a steady golden glow. The hum became rhythmic, alive. The Vrathuan had stabilized. I fell to one knee, panting. She's back, fully operational. Sarith Ka approached slowly. The usual steel in her posture had softened, just slightly. She looked at the glowing core like one might gaze at a sleeping child. You have done what even my Dominion engineers could not. Just took some elbow grease and emotional pyrotechnics, I said with a grin. She tilted her head. Elbow Grease. Human saying. Means effort, sweat, and stubbornness. Her tail flicked. Primitive. Yet, effective. When I stood, she was watching me closely, studying my face, my movements, as though trying to understand why I had helped her. The Rylath, from what I'd read, didn't believe in charity. Everything was transaction, debt, and honor. You risked much, she said softly. Your tools nearly failed. The core could have killed you. Wouldn't be my first time getting fried by an overpowered engine, I said, smirking. Besides, it was either this or go back to fixing cargo drones on Mars. You choose danger over safety. Every time, I said simply. That's what makes humans, human. For a heartbeat, something like amusement flickered in her eyes. Then, to my shock, she laughed. A deep, rumbling laugh that filled the chamber. It wasn't mocking, it was genuine, powerful, alive. You are mad, she said at last. Utterly, gloriously mad. Thanks, I said, brushing soot off my sleeve. That's the nicest thing anyone's said to me all week. Her wings unfurled slightly, casting long shadows across the glowing chamber. The Vrathuan purred beneath our feet, like a creature reborn. The Vrathuan acknowledges your touch, she said. She trusts you. Well, that's a first. Usually machines only tolerate me. Sarith Ka inclined her head, a gesture that might have been respect among her kind. You have earned your payment, human mechanic. 10,000 credits transferred. And perhaps, she paused, eyes glinting, my gratitude. I'll take that too, I said, smiling. Might come in handy. As I gathered my tools, she watched me quietly. There was something new in her expression, curiosity, maybe even admiration. Tell me, human, she said finally. What drives your kind to act without fear? You saw my claws, my power. Yet you did not tremble. I hesitated, then shrugged. We do fear. We just don't let it stop us. We build things to fight the dark machines, stories, hope. It's our way of saying the universe doesn't get the last word. She studied me for a long moment, the golden light of the core reflecting in her scales. Then she said, almost reverently, perhaps, the Dominion was wrong about your species. I blinked. Wait, what do you mean by? Before I could finish, alarms blared. The ship's lights flashed crimson. Sarith Ka's expression hardened instantly. Raiders, she hissed. They followed the distress beacon. I tightened my grip on my wrench. You've got to be kidding me. She bared her fangs. Battle stations. Stay behind me, human. Not a chance, I said. You fix what's broken with fire. I fix what's broken with chaos. Let's make them regret coming here. Her eyes gleamed. Perhaps we are not so different, after all. The deck rumbled as the Vrathuan powered up, alive and angry once more. And that's how I ended up standing beside an alien dragon warlord, about to face down a squadron of raiders, with nothing but my tools, my bad decisions, and the universe's worst timing. If there's one thing I've learned about space, it's that it doesn't give you a moment to celebrate before trying to kill you again. The Vrathuan's newly revived hum was still echoing through the decks when the alarms went from a gentle pulse to an all-out scream. Red lights slashed through the corridors. Panels hissed as the ship's weapons systems tried to reinitialize. Sarith Ka spun toward the tactical display, her movements precise, sharp, predatory. 3 ships inbound. Raider-class vessels. Weapons charged. I squinted at the hologram. Those look like scavenger skiffs, pirate junk held together by duct tape and arrogance. My kind of people. They are no mere scavengers, she growled. Those markings, she zoomed the display, are of the Dravik clan. Slavers. Cowards who prey on wounded ships. Her claws clenched the console hard enough to leave dents. The Vrathuan growled in response, the whole ship vibrating with shared fury. Can we outrun them? I asked. Not yet. The warp lattice is recharging. 60%. Weapons. Offline. Core must stabilize further. So basically, I muttered, we're sitting ducks. She bared her fangs. A dragon is never prey. That was a cool line. Terrifying, but cool. The raiders hailed us. The main screen flickered to life, revealing 3 ugly faces, humanoid, grey-skinned, eyes like insects, grinning through broken helmets. Unidentified vessel, the leader rasped, "You are trespassing in Dravik salvage territory. Power down and surrender your ship. We'll make your deaths quick." I leaned toward the MIC. "Hey, fellas. How about a counteroffer? You turn around and pretend this never happened, and I won't shove your ship's engine through its own cockpit." Sarith Ka gave me a sidelong glare. "You provoke them. They were gonna shoot us anyway. Might as well make it entertaining." The raider sneered. "A human? You brought a pet, Dominion Captain?" Sarith Ka's eyes flared molten gold. "You dare address me, filth?" The connection cut before the insults could escalate. The raiders opened fire. The first barrage slammed into the Vrathuan's shields, shaking the deck. I barely caught the edge of a console before tumbling. Sparks burst from an overhead conduit. "Shields holding," Sarith Ka shouted. "But they will not last. We need a distraction," I said, scanning the schematics. "Something to buy time until the core stabilizes." I darted to a side panel and ripped it open, revealing a mess of glowing conduits. I yanked out a plasma regulator, crossed 2 power nodes, and began rerouting auxiliary energy toward the hull's thermal vents. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Improvising." That word again. "It's how humans survive," I said, grinning despite the chaos. "We break the rules until the universe agrees with us." I linked the cables to the emergency coolant lines and set my welder to overload. The idea was insane: convert the coolant vents into a flash discharge emitter. Basically, I was going to make the ship fake its own reactor explosion. "When I say now," I yelled, "brace yourself. Human, if this kills us." "It won't." "Probably." She looked like she was about to roast me alive, but before she could, the raiders fired another volley. The ship groaned under the impact. "Now!" I shouted. I hit the trigger. A blinding burst of white plasma erupted from the Vrathuan's ventral hull, an explosion so bright it lit up the entire asteroid field. The raiders' sensors must have gone crazy, because their formation broke immediately. Radiation spike detected, one of them panicked over open comms. "It's going critical." They pulled back fast, engines flaring in every direction. Sarith Ka's expression turned from fury to realization, and then to wicked delight. "You tricked them. They think we're about to blow. Classic panic move. You used sabotage as a weapon. We call it creative problem-solving." Her lips curled in a sharp, toothy grin. "Humans are dangerous. Took you this long to figure that out?" The raiders hesitated just long enough for the Vrathuan systems to finish recalibrating. The hum of the core deepened. Lights across the bridge shifted from red to gold. "Core stability restored," Sarith Ka announced, voice reverent. "Weapons online." "Captain," I said with a grin, "care to return the favor?" She didn't answer. She simply raised one clawed hand over the controls and whispered something in her native tongue. The ship responded instantly, its hull flaring with energy, the glow spreading along its veins like liquid fire. Then the Vrathuan roared. A barrage of plasma lances erupted from its sides, cutting through the darkness like lightning. The first raider ship disintegrated in a single hit. The second tried to flee, only to be impaled by a kinetic spear fired from the ship's dorsal spine. The third hesitated, a fatal mistake. Sarith Ka unleashed a focused beam directly through its engines, splitting it apart. Within seconds, the battle was over. The debris of 3 ships glittered like dying stars around us. Silence fell, thick and surreal. The only sound was the Vrathuan's low, satisfied hum. I exhaled, realizing I'd been holding my breath the whole time. "Holy hell, remind me never to piss you off." Sarith Ka turned slowly to face me. Her wings were half spread, shimmering with faint energy residue. "You fought beside me, human. You faced the enemy without fear." "Why?" I blinked, confused. "Why?" "Because someone had to. You were outnumbered, your ship half dead. I couldn't just." "You could have fled," she interrupted. "Yeah," I said quietly. "But that's not what we do." She stared at me for a long time, her eyes glowing softly now, less fire, more thought. Your people. You fight without reason. Oh, we've got reasons, I said with a grin. We just make them up as we go. That earned a deep, rumbling chuckle from her chest, the kind of sound that made you forget she could bite your head off in one go. Liam Carter, she said, voice formal now, the Vrathuan owes you a life debt. Dominion custom dictates that I honor such courage. You may name your reward. I blinked. My reward? Yes. Credits, weaponry, passage to any world. Say the word. I thought about it. About my tiny shop back on Mars, the bills, the loneliness, the grind. Then I looked at her, an alien dragon captain standing tall in the golden glow of her resurrected ship. I don't want money, I said finally. I want to learn. To see how this thing works, how you work. You've got tech humanity's never dreamed of. Her brow ridge lifted. You wish to remain aboard? If you'll have me. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she nodded once. Very well, human. You will serve as engineer's apprentice to the Vrathuan. But understand this, on my ship, there is no weakness. Only purpose. Then I'll find mine, I said. And maybe make a few upgrades while I'm at it. Her tail flicked. You are insufferable. You mean indispensable, I corrected. And I could have sworn she almost smiled. That night, if you could call it night in the void, I stood alone in the observation chamber, staring out at the drifting wreckage of the raiders. The nebula beyond glowed faintly violet, swirling like smoke. The stars shimmered, ancient and indifferent. I thought about how a random midnight message had led me here aboard a living alien warship, working for a dragon captain, surviving battles I never should have walked away from. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I felt human. Dangerous, stubborn, and alive. Behind me, Sarith Ka's voice broke the silence. Human, she said softly. Liam. The ship sleeps now. You may rest. I turned, smiling faintly. Wake me if we get attacked again. You jest. Only half the time. She huffed a low, smoky laugh. Sleep, then. Tomorrow, you will see what lies beyond your fragile human maps. And as the Vrathuan drifted toward the stars, I realized something that made my heart race. For the first time, my future wasn't on Mars, or in a dusty dock bay. It was among the dragons. A week passed, though I'd stopped counting days the moment I lost sight of Mars behind us. Time aboard the Vrathuan flowed differently, like the heartbeat of some ancient beast. There was rhythm in its hum, a language of power and patience. Every morning, or what counted as morning in space, I woke to the glow of nebulae shifting through the observation windows and the faint vibration of the ship's pulse beneath my feet. It was alive, in a way no machine back home could ever be. And I was learning to understand it. Sarith Ka was a relentless teacher. She expected precision in every word, every motion. When I miswired a plasma relay on day 3, the ship's internal lighting dimmed to near black for 6 hours. You nearly choked the energy spine, she had scolded. A careless act like that could doom us. Sorry, I muttered. We humans usually learn by breaking things first. Then it is a wonder your species survived this long. But she wasn't cruel. Beneath the scaly glare and talon-pointed lectures, I could tell she was impressed. She started letting me run minor diagnostics on my own, trusted me with recalibrating navigation sensors, and even showed me how to interpret the Vrathuan's emotional signals. Yes, emotional. Turns out, when a living ship likes you, it hums softer around you. And when it doesn't, it locks the doors until you apologize. Found that out the hard way. On the 7th day, we reached the edge of the Cinder Rift, a scar across the galaxy filled with crimson clouds and lightning veins stretching for light years. It was, without exaggeration, the most beautiful and terrifying sight I'd ever seen. The rift, Sarith Ka said, her voice quieter than usual. My people once ruled these skies. The Dominion fleet soared here before the wars burned our worlds to ash. Her claws tightened on the railing. Now, only ghosts remain. I watched the storm writhe beyond the viewport, flashes of light carving outlines of ships long dead. You lost a war. We lost ourselves, she corrected. In our hunger for conquest, we devoured our own strength. She turned to face me, her golden eyes reflecting the rift's glow. And you, human, why do you travel? You could have left. You could have returned to your world of noise and comfort. I thought for a moment, then said, because fixing things is what I do. And this, I gestured around, this ship, this galaxy, it's all broken in one way or another. Maybe I can help fix it. She blinked slowly, her expression unreadable. Then, after a long silence, a strange philosophy. But, not unwise. There was something in her tone that wasn't command or challenge. Something almost like respect. That night, the ship drifted near a shattered moon on the edge of the rift. SCi-Fi and I stood together in the observation dome, the cracked world glowing faintly beneath us. When I was a hatchling, she said, my elders told tales of ancient dragons who could reshape stars with their breath. I thought them myths. And now? I asked. Now I see a human who repairs a dragon's heart with a welding tool. Perhaps myths take many forms. I chuckled. That's poetic. You're learning our sense of humor. Do not insult me, she said, smirking slightly. We both laughed. And for a heartbeat, the distance between our species, our histories, seemed to vanish. The peace didn't last. A sudden pulse from the Vrathuan's core snapped us back to reality. The ship's deep hum rose to a sharp alarm. Unidentified warp signature, the console reported. SCi-Fi's expression hardened. It cannot be. I rushed to the display. A massive outline emerged in the rift's depths, larger than any of the raiders before. A Dravik dreadnought. They tracked us, she snarled. The scavengers were a vanguard. And this one's here to finish the job, I muttered. Can we fight it? No. Not without reinforcements. She turned to the helm. We flee through the rift. Wait, I said. That's suicide. The energy storms will tear us apart. Then suggest another path, human. I stared at the swirling clouds ahead, electricity dancing like serpents between torn fragments of matter, and then it hit me. What if we don't run from the rift? I said. What if we use it? Her head tilted. Explain. Those storms, pure plasma, unstable magnetics. If we sync the ship's shield harmonics to their frequency, we could ride the current like a wave. The Dravik sensors wouldn't follow us through that chaos. Impossible, she said. Most of my life's work starts that way, I said with a grin. Trust me. She did. And that changed everything. Together, we rerouted the power conduits, aligning the Vrathuan's core resonance to match the storm's pulse. The ship began to shake violently. The hull glowed crimson from the rift's charge. Brace. SCi-Fi roared. The storm swallowed us whole. For a moment, all I saw was fire, liquid lightning twisting around the ship, reality bending like glass. My bones vibrated. My vision blurred. And then, silence. We emerged on the other side, stars glittering clear and calm before us. Behind us, the Dravik dreadnought had vanished into the storm, torn apart by the same energy we'd just ridden. We made it, I gasped. SCi-Fi looked stunned. You rode a storm. Guess humans and dragons make a good team. She let out a long, low breath, then turned toward the forward viewport. You have spirit, Liam Carter. Perhaps your people are not as fragile as I thought. We're stubborn, I said. There's a difference. Later, in the ship's quiet hum, she stood beside me once more. The rift is behind us, she said. Ahead lies the Dominion's outer frontier. You have a choice. I can return you to human space, or you may remain. I looked at the stars, at the endless ocean of light stretching farther than any dream I'd ever had. Captain, I said, if I went home now, I'd just be fixing scrap in a back alley again. Here. I'm fixing legends. She studied me in silence. Then, softly. Very well, Engineer Carter. From this moment, you are crew of the Vrathuan. Her claws tapped a sequence on the console. My name appeared in alien script on the crew manifest. Welcome among dragons. As the ship accelerated toward the frontier, I leaned back in the pilot's chair, watching the stars blur into lines. Somewhere behind us, the galaxy still whispered its old fears. Humans were weak, reckless, fragile. But out here, In the company of a dragon captain and her living warship, I knew the truth. We weren't weak. We were the ones who looked at the impossible and started building. And if the universe wanted to call that madness, well, it was about to learn what humans could really do with a wrench, a dream, and a dragon by their side.